another Wednesday, and another visit to my lounge. Welcome to another IP-packed episode of the Lawo Lounge, the place to catch up with the latest technologies and gossip from your friends at Lawo. Are you sitting comfortably? Then let's begin. On this week's show, our radio team dig into the ideal network topologies and design considerations for your audio over IP system. And as we all missed our annual visit to the NAB show this April, we take you on the road to Las Vegas to visit the HyperX Arena, where Lawo technology powers the complex audio needs of live esports gaming. And in our Did You Know segment, we will show you how to simplify your radio console configuration. This and much more to come in the next 45 minutes. Now, don't forget, if you have any questions during the show, our experts are on hand to provide instant feedback. So feel free to use the chat window to post your comments or questions. Now to last week's 50-year quiz question, which was on the topic of our audio production technology. What is the maximum number of fully blown DSP channels at 48 kHz in our one rack unit A-line UHD core? It's an impressive 1,024 channels. Now, if you got it right, you're in with a chance to win some of our Lawo giveaways. The 50-year quiz will be back at the end of the show for another chance for you to win. Now, 2019 was a record year for Lawo on many fronts, not least for our Americas team, who achieved an astonishing 142% growth. In our weekly segment, Meet and Greet, I caught up with Jeff Smith, our Senior Vice President of Sales Americas, to discuss what are the keys to our continuing success. Hi, Jeff.
Hi, Jamie.
Hi, thanks for joining today. Now, first question is, tell me, what's the weather like in Toronto today where you are?
Thanks for having me, Jamie. Yeah, the weather is quite warm, maybe warmer than we're used to up here in Toronto. It's about 33 degrees Celsius, so we are staying cool, but mostly indoors with air conditioning on.
Yeah, lucky you for the air conditioning, I can tell you. So I want to start by asking you a bit about your Lawo story. How long have you been with the company? And tell me, what do you like best about Lawo?
Sure, yeah. So my official tenure started with Lawo in May of 2018. So that makes that I've been here for just over 2 years. And what I like best about Lawo, I mean, there's lots of great things about Lawo, but I think the two things that stick out to me are the people. So really a great group of people that we work with every day. And the culture. So the culture at Lawo is something that I don't think many people fully grasp. And to fully grasp it, I think you have to work at the company for some time to really experience what it's like. But it truly is a great place to work, and it makes it fun to come to work every day.
I thought you were going to say I was the best thing about Lawo, but there we go. Last year was a landmark year for the company on many fronts, but one major point was that this was the first time in the company history that the Americas region was the largest contributor of revenue. Now, I think that's a really amazing achievement for a European company. So tell me, what have been the keys to our success on the other side of the Atlantic?
Yeah, thanks for mentioning it. It's a point that we take a lot of pride in, and the team here worked extremely hard and has worked extremely hard to build that presence. I think to sort of pinpoint sort of what achieves that success for us, we have to look at it from really 3 points of view. First and foremost, I think the absolute most important thing is the team. I think we have an incredible team over here in North America and really worldwide, all the way from administration through operations and into the sales team. Lawo was built up of an extremely passionate group of people, and I think that passion is almost infectious, and it really rubs off on our clients. And I truly believe the clients want to do business with Lawo, in part because of how much they can see how much the people have passion for their jobs and the work that they do. Second, I think the organization, Lawo, and I can take no credit for this because it happened prior to my tenure, but there was a clear commitment to the North American market from an investment perspective, understanding that the market required a dedicated presence in North America. So we operate 3 brick and mortars. From an office perspective, we have an office in Los Angeles, we have an office in New York, and we have our quote-unquote North American headquarters up here in Toronto. Those organizations effectively staff over 50 people, from back-end administration to operations for delivery and from a sales perspective. I think that's quite unique for a European vendor to make this large of an investment into a market that at the time they didn't really know they would be successful in. So I think that allowed the company to have people working in this market that understand the market, understand the culture, and really understand what needs to be done to make it successful. And third, and equally as critical, I think we have a product that fills a gap in the marketplace. I think today we have, if not definitely one of the most compelling solutions from an infrastructure perspective of anyone in the market. So it's really given us an opportunity to be successful in North America.
Now, lastly, I always like to end with a more personal question. So now you know Germany a lot better than maybe you did before. Tell me, what's your favorite thing you like about the country?
Yeah, that's a great question. Got to go back a little bit. So before I joined Lawo, I had actually never been to Germany. So like a lot of people, or at least a lot of people I know, there was some sort of preconceived notion of what the German culture was like, what German people were like, and really what Germany as a country was like. And at least for me, I sort of in my head had this picture of a very industrial, very sort of clean, very sort of rigid sort of culture. And what I found is that it's not like that at all. It is, of course, it's clean and it's sort of industrial, but at least where our headquarters is, it's almost in the middle of a forest. So it's very green. The people are extremely friendly. Even on my first trip, I was able to navigate the train system and order some great meals. But I think if I had to narrow down my single favorite piece of German culture would be one dish which is local to the region where our headquarters is, and it's called Flammkuchen. And I'm sure I butchered the pronunciation of that, but effectively it's a very, very thin, kind of fire-baked, almost pizza-like. And anyone that knows me at Lawo knows that I start almost every meal with a piece of Flammkuchen.
Yeah, somehow I knew that would be the answer to the question. Listen, thank you, Jeff, for joining us. You take care of yourself, stay cool, and I hope to see you soon. Okay, bye.
Thanks.
Bye. This week, it is once again the turn of our radio team to be in focus as they discuss an important topic in the design and architecture of radio systems, the network. Audio over IP is not new at all, but with network technologies and hardware rapidly evolving, choosing suitable network designs and switch choices is essential to secure rock-solid 24/7 operation. Johan Boquist and the team are here to make you rethink your radio network.
Thank you, Jamie, and again, welcome to this product and topic specific session. My name is Johan Boquist and I'm the product manager for radio. For today, I've invited Andreas Schlegel. He's one of our technical specialists and software tester here at Lawo. We are going to talk about how to prepare your network for audio over IP deployment. And for those who already are using our radio products in a network environment, we are going to give you some hands-on examples covering different methods for stream announcement and STP patching. During the call, we will have a Q&A chat open, and the radio team is ready to answer your questions and feedback during the session. But now, hello and welcome, Andreas. Can you first tell us a little bit more about yourself, who you are, and what you are doing when you are not pushing yourself to become the next German Iron Man?
Thanks, Johan, for the warm welcome, and hello to everybody. My name is Andy, and I'm with Lawo since 2 years now. I'm responsible for the quality control of our radio products, and due to the change to IP, my daily business become more and more network driven. So these network-related topics are part of my daily business.
Okay, great, thanks. So now tell me, what are the first steps and decisions a broadcaster need to take when thinking of deploying an audio over IP-based network infrastructure for radio?
So it all starts with a decision of how should your network look like. Here it is your decision if you go with a spine leaf topology or if you just have one single switch. The important message is Ravenna fits your decision and it will work in the network you choose. A good starting point is to count the amount of devices and the number of streams. This helps to get an overview of how many switches are needed and to calculate the bandwidth which is needed. Also, if you go for in-band control or to have controlled and a media network. Both scenarios do have their pros and cons. About one I will talk when we go to synchronization, but for those who are not familiar with it, in-band control means to have control and media in the same network. But in the digital world, everything is about synchronization. So streaming networks require a PTP grandmaster. This is a topic where we could fill a whole session about, but we have to make it short. In the world of switches, we differentiate between PTP-aware switches and non-PTP-aware switches. A PTP-aware switch can act as a master to the device and can be synced to the grandmaster. And you can be sure that PTP packets are treated with the highest priority. On a non-PTP-aware switch, you have to make this done by quality of service. So you have to make sure that PTP packets are treated with the highest priority. But of course it works with a non-PTP-aware switch. Experience showed that you should not use more than 40% of bandwidth with a non-PTP-aware switch to make sure that everything works properly. This is now also a good example for quality of service when we go for in-band control. So now you have to make sure that control packets are treated with a lower priority than UDP or PTP packets. So the order should always be first PTP, second streaming UDP, and third control data. Also, something to consider is to have a look on how many networks do you have in your environment. Should streams be available for all or just a few? Maybe just a few studios or just a few rooms. Here our Lawo team can assist you in your phase of planning. There are a lot of possibilities to make that available. Another important fact is that Ravenna is available for layer 3. That means it can be in routed networks. And this, of course, leads to another important aspect. How do you want to connect your streams? Do you have an orchestrator on top? Then STP patching is the way how it is done. Or should the streams be announced on the network and it should be more dynamically for users, maybe with stream names they can choose, then it would be MDNS. So here are a lot of possibilities, and these are defined by the workflow you have, and then we can make it fit in this network. But once everything is clear, decision needs to be done which switches to use. Here we can say that we have successful installations across all switch manufacturers.
So when speaking of recommendations, there are also some audio over IP interoperability standards that the broadcaster should know about. Isn't that correct?
This I can easily answer. Yes, Ravenna has interoperability with other audio over IP standards as long as they support AIS67. So here I can mention that there are plenty of devices which support AIS67. So we have full IP studios where mix, codecs, loudspeakers and so on are fully connected, transported and controlled via network. And only a small amount of analog cables.
Okay, I got it. So once you have your network configured according to the recommendations, maybe you have deployed some mixing consoles or audio units or even a loudspeaker inside the studio connected to an IP network. What then to consider when it comes to playout and recording? We all know that these are essential tools for producing a radio show.
So here we have our product Relay. This is the software to bring your workstations to the network. Here we have VSC and VPB to do routing and to bring the audio you choose to the network, or we have VRX4 and VRX8 with a built-in mix engine to use as a radio station on your workstation. With Relay, you can do AIS67 streaming out of a workstation or out of a virtual machine. Here we support vSphere from our partners VMware. As streaming is all about CPU, you have to make sure that these resources are available all time. There are interesting white papers on the webpage of VMware how to tweak your system for real-time audio. But with Relay, we have successful installations on virtual machines together with playout softwares. Only one thing to mention, if you have very, very time-critical audio, running software drivers might be a challenge. Due to different processes on that virtual machine or on workstation, the jitter might be higher, so this leads to higher receiving buffers to compensate this.
Okay, cool, I understand. So now we have some audio sources available on the network. Now we need to configure and announce the streams and then later on connect the streams to receiver, right?
Okay, so now let's start having a look on how to configure it. We're having two devices which I will show you now. So first one will be the power core, where we will configure some receivers and some streams. And then after I will show the virtual patch bay. So on the Honor Designer, the tool for configuring the power core, it all starts with configuring the Ravenna in receivers. You'll find an audio input, Ravenna 1 to 128. So it starts with giving the receivers a name. And on beginning side, that's all. Maybe you want to have a default stream which is connected already to it, then you just enter the name. But this is advanced and we will show later. And for receivers, that's all you have to do. Just give them a name and you're ready. You only have to connect these inputs with the sources, but that's configuration part. How to configure the outputs. Then we go to the Ravenna Out tab. And here we first start with a name. This name is mandatory. And as a next step, we go to the right. And then we will see stream size, stream name, codec, samples per frame, and devices. The stream size in a stereo stream is 2 channels. I enter a stream name. This stream name is the one which will be available in the network or can seen via MDNS. As a codec for that stream, I choose L24 and I choose samples per frame 48 as this is the default for the AIS67 streams. This stream is redundant as I made it available on both interfaces and I entered 2 multicast IP addresses. These are freely configurable in your network. As a last step, let's have a look on the MDNS announcements. If we set these checkboxes here, all streams will be announced via MDNS. MDNS is a standard protocol for a lot of devices which can announce their streams on this multicast IP address. So as long as a device joins this group, he will see all other announcements and all other streams. I will show this later in the streams list, but why do I see 4 checkboxes? We have a feature that we can change the multicast IP addresses. For example, if we are having a high density of announcement on that IP address, then we can switch an own multicast IP address and do these announcements on 4 rings. This, for example, would be a possibility to switch different announcements to different studios. Okay, so here I see Relay. And this is the routing matrix where I have my WDM drivers. In this case, no ASIO devices are connected, but this would be the routing matrix to route playout software or YouTube streams or whatever to streams. Here, I just click Add, saying Add Stream, and then there is a new window. Here, I can now define a stream name. In this case, I call it Workstation 1. I define 2 channels as a stereo stream, and I also define the L24 codec by a frame size of 48 samples, and I just choose a NIC where it is streamed. And here I can now define an automatic multicast IP address, or I could enter it manually. In this case, I now use a manual. And now this stream is available on the network, and all I would have to do is to route the audio coming in to this stream. Let's come to the interesting part. How do we connect these streams once they're created and once they're on the network? We begin with the MDNS announcement, and I will show this first on the Power Core. Here we go on the webpage of the Power Core and switch over to the Ravenna part, and then we have an overview of the streams. This now is a list of all streams which are in the network available and which are announced via MDNS. Here we can see that I have 589 streams in the network. What happens with MDNS? As I already mentioned, every device joins a specific multicast IP address for these MDNS, and then the participants offering the streams they have. So a Power Core joins this address and says, hey, I'm having these streams, and then can fill its list, and now we can connect them. For this, we go to the output page, and this is defined because it's the output of the network. And here I now can press the connect button. Then it will see a new window. Here I choose my stream receiver, which I have. In this case, I took the first one. And then I simply can go through my list and can see, okay, I want to connect Power Core Stream 83 to it. And now I can see that it's connected because A means assigned. Again, how does this work? Via MDNS, all informations are provided how this stream can be received. What's happening is that the receiver opens an RTSP connection to the transmitter where you can get the STP. An STP, that's a session description protocol, contains all necessary information how to receive a stream. For this, let's have a look on a STP. When you go to streams again, and we go to Core 3, and just open it, then you will see an STP. An STP contains a lot of information. A lot of them are mandatory. Some of them are just informations which can be in there. Let's go through some of them. So here in the first one, the O stands for origin. This is the IP address of the transmitter. This is not the multicast IP address. This is the IP address how I can reach my transmitter. Here I have my stream name. This is the stream name which will be announced in MDNS and the stream name configured on the other Power Core. Here I also got an information of the clock domain and of the grandmaster to which this stream is synced. Also, and this is a mandatory information, I got information about the media, that's the M, that it's an audio stream coming in over port 5004 with a payload of 98. And now the important part, here I have my multicast IP address. And to complete it, I can get this multicast IP address from this transmitter. Also, I got information of the codec, it's L24 with 48,000 kilohertz sampling rate, and it's a 2-channel stream with a frame count of 48 samples per frame. These STPs are mandatory for connecting streams because you can get all information out of it and also which content is in that stream. Okay, so let's connect the stream in Relay via MDNS. In Relay, it's the same. We are working with a list which is filled by the MDNS announcements. How do we get there? We are pressing on Add Available Streams, and there will be a new window. And this is the list of all streams which are announced in the network. So quite a lot. Now I'm choosing Core 02 Sign, pressing Add. And as you see, this stream is now connected. And what we can also check is if there's already audio on it. So we are pressing right click on it, saying Show Pop-up Mixer. And I can see, okay, there's a sign on it and I can see audios coming in. And an interesting one for Relay is pressing Shift Control Alt right click. And now we get a new window which shows us the STP and some informations of the receiving side. How many jitter is on this? How many packets do I have which already were received and so on, and also of course the SDP. And I can see I received the stream name core02 sign coming from this IP address with a multicast IP address 239.2165128. And I can see it's a L24 codec, 48,000 kHz stereo channel. This is how MDNS works in Relay. So here also some network explanation, what happens in the background. When a user decides that he wants to connect to stream, Relay is sending out via the so-called IGMP protocol an IGMP join. This join says, I want to receive this multicast IP address. What does now happen is that the switch organizes the multicast and forwards it to the receiver where the IGMP join were coming from. This is the magic which is behind, and this all happens on the switch. But when we're connecting now via MDNS, or when we now switch to SDP patching directly, it's the same mechanism in the background. So let's go to another interesting part, the so-called SDP patching via Ember. For the explanation, I will now use two tools. The first one is the web page of a Power Core, and the second one is the Ember view on the right side. I will now navigate to the second Power Core. So in this list, you see 3 devices. 2 of them are Power Cores, and the other one is the relay, which I will show you after. Let's start with the 2 Power Cores. I will now go to the sender and navigate to my inputs to the network. And I can see here I have my sign. I copy this value as this is the SDP from the transmitter. And now I will go to the receiving side and will choose my first receiver. And I will paste this SDP to the receiver. And now I can see on the web page that core '03 sign is connected and is assigned. So this connection was done just by pasting the SDP to the receiver via Ember. As I already mentioned in the beginning, in this list I can also see now default stream name. I already mentioned this once we started to configuring our receivers. This would be the default stream which will be connected once there is a cold start or once you start the core for the first time. And you just enter the name which will be announced via MDNS, and then it will come up with this stream as a default stream on the beginning. Okay, now we see our relay again with a stream I already connected via MDNS before. To have a stream receiver via Ember available, what I have to do is I have to add a so-called stream receiver. And the amount of channels, so this one would be a stereo one. And now I navigate to this one in the Ember view. So here I now have my SDP, and I still have the one from before in my clipboard. Pressing OK. Now it's taking a while because the connection is done. And here I see now this stream appeared on this Ember stream receiver, and I can double check, hey, I'm having audio in it. And now this stream was connected via Ember SDP patching on Relay. In Relay we already have another workflow for this. So the other workflow would be go to add available streams. And here I have add stream SDP. So here I could directly copy my SDP in and could add it. So this stream is already connected, so I will not add it. But if I would press add, this stream would be connected just by pasting the SDP in this field on available streams. This is now the last switch of my setup. I'd like to show you how it could look like with an orchestrator on top. In my case, it's VSM. Please be aware that for this a config needs to be prepared, which was already done before. But with VSM it would be the same. VSM pastes STPs via Ember to the receivers. This, for example, seeing on the right side, could be a big routing matrix in a master control room. As you now see, I have the page on the left side, and I'm now just doing it by clicking. I'm doing the connection. As you see on the left side, all connections are done. But also, what would be a solution is that I could prepare a panel for it. Let's open it. So this panel offers two receivers of a power core where I can only connect the offered streams to. So first I disconnect the first two, and you see on the webpage they are now disconnected, and now I could connect streams out of this list to the receivers. This could also be implemented in VisTool, so an operator would have integrated this in his radio workflow, and sources and targets can be configured completely free. As you see, there are a lot of possibilities to squeeze this into your workflow. It could also be a combination of MDNS and SDP patching, but again, this is driven by your workflow.
Okay, this doesn't seem too complicated when working with the software. But what happens if the operator only has access to a physical surface?
So if the operator needs to connect streams on the surface, we have a feature which is called Ravenna Source Pool. Let me show you on the surface how this works. Okay, here we now see a Ruby waiting for streams. The operator can now go with the encoder to the source pool. The source pool will show us now groups and sources in that group. When we access the pool source by pressing on the knob 3 times, we can change now Studio 1 and access program or recording bus. Or when it's now tuned, we will see that it's received, or we now go to a different group and seeing, okay, I want to see Studio 2. Here also have program and recording, and I just press take. And then in the background, this one is connected. Okay, how do we configure this? Here we see a stream list of a power core which shows us the existing streams in the network. As you may notice, they all have a special naming, and they have the group, then a column, and then the source. The Ravenna source pool is configured by these divider. So the column is set as the divider, and now all before the column is the group, and what's after, that's the source. And the power core automatically detects this to groups and sources.
Okay, great. But how about redundancy? Can you tell me a bit more about the different options available in order to guarantee audio delivery in case of any network failure?
So the most efficient solution for offering redundancy is that we have 2022-7 SPS. SPS stands for Seamless Protection Switching. What does it mean? You can always have the same audio transported via 2 streams, received by 2 NICs on the receiving side. The samples in packets which arrived first will be used. If one is missing, it will be used of the second stream, so there's always a backup. Also, we have the possibility to configure LACP on the devices to have 2 NICs as one, or we have 2 separate NICs. And by the way, 2 NICs, if you're using a computer with 2 NICs, that means relay is also capable of 2022-7.
Okay, this seems pretty straightforward and easy to understand. I think this wraps up this part very nicely on what to consider when defining your network for radio production. Thank you very much, Andreas, for your time and for explaining this in such an easy way. And thank you all for taking the time to attending this session. I hope you enjoyed it and that you learned something. Again, any questions, please use the chat.
Hello, my name is Konstantin Evers and I'm an application engineer in the radio SSE team at Lawo. Did you know that using substitutions in Honor Designer can simplify your configuration? If you have multiple units with the same hardware configuration, you are able to individualize single parameters with the so-called local substitutions. Therefore, we need to clone the default unit in the project window by right mouse clicking and choose Clone Unit. Now we can give each unit an individual name by double-clicking, like Studio 1 and Studio 2. Let's substitute now for Studio 1 and Studio 2 two basic parameters like the desk name and the IP address. Therefore, we move the mouse over the parameter, make a right mouse click and choose Save as Substitution. We do this for the desk name and the IP address field, and you see now that the substituted fields are surrounded by a green frame. Now I highlight Studio 1 and enter the desk name Studio 1 and enter the default IP address. Now I highlight the other unit called Studio 2 and give it another desk name and another IP address. Like for example, the 242 at the end instead of the 240. In this moment, those both parameters are substituted so they are individual per each unit. The substitutions work for the whole tree definition and the project window, meaning checkboxes, logical fields and text fields. You can change the substitutions in the local substitutions list on the bottom of the tree definition or in the tree definition itself. So, now you know.
Hello again. Today I also would like to take the opportunity to introduce you to a new feature in PowerCore that is available in the software release 6.6. Again, I would like to hand over to Andreas for a live demonstration of the stream patching feature Make Before Break.
Welcome from Wiesbaden. I'd like to show you now the new PowerCore feature Make Before Break. It is now possible to switch a stream receiver and the audio connection is first switched until the new stream is stable. In the versions before this was not possible, so you could always hear a short break. I would like to demonstrate this now. We can now see the webpage of the PowerCore, where I can see that on my first stream receiver there is the relay stream 1 connected, and now we play some audio from that stream, and while this is happening I will switch the connection, and as you may notice there's a short silence. As a next step, I would like to show you in the On-Air Designer how we can configure this new feature. For this, we go to our tree definition, open the system definition part and go to the Ravenna tab. Okay, so here we find now the new checkbox RX Make Before Break Enable, which we will set now. Once this is set, we upload the config to the unit, and after this is done and the core is restarted, the functionality is available. Please keep in mind that you need 3 available receivers for this function. That means if you're having 128 receivers configured and they are all in use, it does not work. Okay, now let's compare it with the new functionality. Now I'm back on my page and I will start music. And now I will trigger the connect to the new stream receiver, and as you may noticed, there was no break.
Wow, okay. Thanks Andreas, this is really awesome. As you all understand, this is a really useful function when switching audio streams during on-air situations. Once you have installed the 6.6 software on your PowerCore, you can try it for yourself. I'm sure you will find many use cases for this in your own environment and setup.
Most people from my generation grew up playing the first computer games such as Space Invaders, Asteroids and later Donkey Kong. And loading them into the computer meant playing back the binary data via audio cassette machines. Now my son can play sophisticated real-time 3D multiplayer games together with his friends while sitting in the car. Esports today has one of the fastest growing viewership and audiences, now surpassing 500 million people and revenues of over $1.1 billion per year. With a need to broadcast live and real-time competitions from multiple venues spread across the globe, esports has some of the most challenging and complex workflows to solve to provide audiences both in venue and at home with an unmatched viewer experience. Have a look as we go on the road to Las Vegas to see how Allied Esports International use Lawo technology to power and solve their live production challenges.
Some of the most fun that we have is that we get to play games all the time. I mean, our job is getting to have fun, gaming, competition, friends coming together. Part of what we do here is host communities of people coming together to play friendly matches against one another, and I think that's really exciting. I'm Alex Markley. I'm the Chief Engineer at Allied Esports International. We have multiple venues all across the world, primarily based out of Las Vegas. We have offices in California, in Hamburg, Germany. We also have locations all across China. It's really kind of an exciting mix to be able to kind of oversee all the technology for all of this really awesome and exciting new esports. Here at the Las Vegas Arena, we have 3 different floors that house our audio equipment. So we have to span audio across all 3 floors of our venue. We utilize a bunch of different stage boxes through our different floors tied to a main core of our Lawo system, and that enables us to control everything from 2 separate services across our compound, one in the back in the production area and one in the front of house area. In order to create a good sound, I think you need very powerful tools that are easy to use. We chose Lawo because the price point and the power point was correct. So the price point was set competitively to where we could afford it as a venue, and the power point enabled us to shift through multiple different floors in our venue using fiber, connecting into one core and allowing us to control via a surface. So we had a lot of function and use out of something that we felt like was a really good investment. The mixing desk is really important in order to create efficiencies in our broadcast. So we have up to 12 different players competing at once in a broadcast scenario. So the mix engineer has to be able to work through multiple pages and have backup scenarios for every single pod that we have on stage in the event of failure during competitive gameplay. One of the biggest problems that we run into with esports is mixing player intercoms. This is actually incredibly challenging, and being able to have multiple different mix zones where players can hear both intercom and gameplay and they can independently control those items. That's a really big challenge that we have. So one of the things I do like the most is how we use auxes and sums. This is how we control and actually shift a bunch of sound around our arena. So if we want different zones of action, specifically if we're mixing in the front of house, if we're mixing in our back of house production area and inside of our arena, using this summing is a really quick way for us to route around to different feeds just by selecting and clicking on different features. Being able to move a bunch of signals around inside of our patch field here, our digital patch field, this is really exciting for us. Basically, anyone can really intuitively navigate through the signal functions, and so because we use this as our primary audio router, it's really important for us to be able to navigate through that very effectively and efficiently. Having this specific bank of knobs, I can control and select anything, and it comes up into here. Select that PC, just start turning the gain, and all of a sudden I have all my gain displays. Same thing if I'm trying to EQ something, it brings up my EQ controls. So I intuitively just grab something and it pops up right in front of you. So that's pretty cool, actually. I really do enjoy that. When we expand our facilities to like global operations, right, at some point we will need to have the ability to connect all of those locations together so that we can have one central point of control for multiple competitions at once. So like that's where I could see the power of IP coming in, honestly, and that's where I really think that could be a super strong point for us to continue driving down that line and investing in Lavos, because that ability is there. If we need to remotely take a look at this console, I can log into this console from my home and mix it if I need to, or route signals if I need to. That's pretty cool. I think that's super exciting, that when someone needs help, I can reach out and mix and or eventually someday hopefully grab resources and throw from one location to another location. So I would say powerful with a good price point, easy to use, feature rich, and that's what I need.
Now it's time for our Lavo 50-year quiz question. This week, staying on the topic of radio, our question looks into our radio product portfolio. What is the name of Lavo's user interface design software that comes with every Lavo radio console? Is it A, Relay, B, VizTool, or C, MX GUI? Again, pretty easy, I think. So send us your answer and your contact details to lounge@lavo.com for your chance to win some Lavo goodies. Good luck. So we've come to the end of another fun-packed edition of the Lawo Lounge. Just a reminder that you can watch or replay any of our previous week's Lawo Lounge episodes or our Thursday how-to series by visiting our website at www.lavo.com and navigating to the Lawo Lounge page. Tomorrow's how-to comes from our media infrastructure team, and they will show you how to transport and process UHD signals within the vMatrix. Visit our website to watch at 2 p.m. Central European Time tomorrow. I want to thank you again for being with us today. Join us again next week on the Lawo Lounge, where our media infrastructure team will be pushing your mosaics to infinity as we introduce our unique and award-winning distributed multiviewer. In the meantime, take care, stay healthy, and stay connected. See you next week. Goodbye.